We would like to hear all about Johnny B. Baker, zine making, history. Your bio is very cool. Want to hear all about you and zines. Thank you for being here.
Oh, so hi. I guess it's time
Yes.
for me to go.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, yeah. No, I can't see. Yeah. Well, hi. I'm Johnny B. Baker. I uh, I live in Washington D.C., but I am a California person, Southern California person, where I lived the vast majority of my life. Uh, but the last 6 years or so, I live in DC now. Welcome to my kitchen. This is where I work. Because yes, my wife, she gets the extra room, so I have to work in the kitchen. But I don't mind because I have, like, the wine and the coffee machine and whatever. All right. So yeah, so this is yeah. Um I make budget press. Um which is just whatever I want it to be at any given time. Um, I uh, I have a website and I was going to show you guys it, but I actually don't know how to. I don't where I can I share a screen. I don't know how to do that. So it's not that big of a deal. Who cares? I have a website. It's budgetpress.net. You can go check it out at your leisure or whenever. Um, but I do have, visual things, so we don't need, the website. So, um, right. So budget press. I make zines and I make poetry chapbooks, and I've been doing it. I looked it up. I've been doing it since 1995. Oh, thanks for the website there, Ziva. In some shape, over the decades, it has changed and evolved and taken different forms and so on and so forth as, I've went through life and so on. But yeah, it's kind of just been my artistic outlet, I guess, for these many years. I started it, like I said, I okay. Budget Press, I publish myself, but I've also published over 100 other people. So I don't just make zines that I make myself. I make collaborative zines, litzines, and where there's lots of people. But I also have published many works by individuals, from Southern California, from California, but all across the country, and some in Europe as well. And so I'm not, sometimes people confuse me as a zine distro, and I'm not a distro in that I don't take what other people have made and then distribute them. I make everything myself. Okay. So when I collaborate with somebody else, sometimes they'll just give me what they wrote or, whatever art they have. And I put it together and I format it and I do all of that, and then I print it up and pay for it and then I distribute it. But it's all budget press made. Sometimes I create the cover art. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes they give me a zine and it's all completely done, and all I do is print it up and slap budget press logo on there and so on. But most of the time, since the vast majority of what I've done is stuff created by other people, so and most of it is written work. So they'll give me their work and then I'll format it and do all of the zine making and distro stuff and so on and so forth. Um, so uh, I've done, if you want to, yeah, again, I've made a lot of zines. So over the years, and a lot of chapbooks and a lot of zines with a lot of writers and so on and so forth. And I'll show you some. But I guess I should um well, some things are changing on my screen. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I'm getting like things on here. But I guess you guys can still hear me, so I'm just gonna keep going. Um uh yeah, so I started in 95 in Riverside, um, where I'm from, but I had left, uh, I got out of there. I had moved to San Francisco, and, and that's where, I lived, for, most of my 20s was in San Francisco in the city. And it was there, where I was first exposed to zines, and at Fact Sheet 5, and Ben is Dead, and Dishwasher, and just some of those, back in the day, those old ones, those classic ones, and so on. um and so I saw them, I was around, and so on and so forth. But I moved back to Riverside in my late 20s, to go back to college and, make something out of myself and whatnot. And it was then I was living in downtown Riverside, in this building called the Life Arts Building, and which is just art studios, but everyone lived in there and stunk up the place, and it just smelled, and there's like one bathroom for whatever. But there was a lot of creativity there, and and a community there where everybody was doing stuff, music, art, writing, doing stuff. And I just got into it, and I started Budget Press. And at first, it was, m- mostly poetry, um, of my friends, people I knew, and then, I got it into some, zine review things like Fact Sheet 5, and Exquisite Corpse, and there was the guy Raul Gaviota or something. I don't know, but it's a long time. I got it out there. Um, and and then I started getting, people from around the country mail me things, and how I used to distro is I would just, and I still do, not to the extent, but I would just go to cafes and use the bookstores, and then I just like throw them down and like the free stuff. And I started getting people submitting things to me just who I didn't know, and so over the years I just started like, yeah, it just grew, and I just started publishing a whole bunch of different people from, all over the country and stuff. And and then um I lived overseas for a little while in Prague and in Moscow, and I, still did it from there. Um, you know, uh, People would send me stuff, and I would just print it up in Moscow, and I'm like, make them in Moscow. What the hell? But also, I met some people when I was over there, and when I, published them up, and you know, and then during grad school, grad school, I had other writing to do. I had other things to do. And so Budget Press, kind of like the whole zines and chapbooks and stuff, kind of like faded away a little bit. But I blogged, because this was like the big blog explosion. Everybody was blogging up everything. And I was traveling a lot doing my grad school research, and so I was doing blogging, and it was still called Budget Press. But it was just like me blogging, you know. But then once grad school ended and I I moved to San Diego, um, it just started up again. I don't know. I just started to make zines again. I just started to do it again. Um, and uh, and I've been doing it now, since, I mean, that's been like 15 years or something now, So um yeah, and I've just been, again, just, yeah, lots of different things. And I go to I've been to zine fests across the country, New York, New Orleans, Charlotte, Chicago, Pittsburgh, all the Southern California ones, in San Diego and Portland and Phoenix and Albuquerque and blah blah blah. I love to travel, and so I love to go to zine fests. And what's my favorite zine fest? Chicago. Chicago. Chicago is really cool, man. It's the biggest one, you know. LA, when I did LA in 2016, that was a really big one. But the two I've done in Chicago, I think, are bigger. But I think that Chicago is now going to get smaller. So I don't know if it's ever going to be like that, just like huge, and just that, like, wow, and just that energy was just, I mean, the two times I've done Chicago. So I'd probably say those were the best ones. Those are my favorite ones. Um, but yeah. So but anyway, I'm like, that's whatever. So that's the story of Budget Press or whatever. I guess I should, here, these right here, these are like old ones. These are like old, like pre-grad school. This is like the original Budget Press stuff. And they were like, you can see, like, mostly uh I gotta, I don't see, I'm like, I gotta, like, what were you studying in grad school? History. I teach community college history. So in grad school I did um Soviet Azerbaijan, Islam, Soviet Union. So that's what I did. But I just teach community college. So I did not pursue the academia life. So oh, yeah, I just went back to community college where I belong, where I went for 10 years. Anyway, right. So anyway, and I teach still in San Diego. But I live here, but I still teach in San Diego. So anyway, yeah. So these are like the old Budget Press, um, and so on from back before. And you can see they're like quarter page size, right? Because that's how I did it first. And these are like original ones because I had an actual stamp that and I remember when I first started, man, it was like getting a PO box, right? Because you had to go get a PO box back in the day. And I got a stamp made, and the stamp actually had, these aren't original because it doesn't have that original PO box on them, right? When I moved, I had to get a razor and cut that off, And I still have that. I still have the stamp somewhere in storage somewhere. I don't know, but yeah. So this is what the original were. Um, yes, so on. But this is here. These are some more recent stuff. I just grabbed, like, here. Yes, right. This is all still. I was thinking it was like whatever, like, in all these years of zining, the things that have changed the most are the zine fests. Because I remember when I started grad school and I stepped away for a bit, there weren't zine fests. And then when I went back, it was like, oh my God, Zine Fest. It's like, whoa, you know. And another thing, there was a big change was it was Instagram, right? Because that was just like, you know, just whole new groups of people, you know, like around the world and stuff, you know. And it was just like, you know, I mean, even more so than the blogging or the snail mail back or whatever. It was just like, whoa. And so that opened up a whole bunch of new people, you know, to do things with, you know, and to have fun with and stuff. And, you know, here's, you know, Robin's in Vermont, John is in Kansas, or Missouri, Glenn is in New Jersey. It was strange because I published this one guy in New Jersey, and all of a sudden I had all these guys in their like 20s and 30s from New Jersey, like submitting things to me. And it was like, well, the last thing I want to do is to become a publisher of a bunch of guys in New Jersey. Right. I mean, you know, I got nothing against guys. I got nothing against New Jersey, but it was just like, you know, and honestly, here's another thing. I mean, I know you go look at my catalog and it's like you see the early years and it's almost all men. It's almost all guys. And there's a couple women here and there, but it's almost all guys. And that was something I tried to like get away from, to the point where I started turning people down, you know, to whatever. And I had to, you know, I had to make an effort too. I mean, I had to make an effort, but, you know, yeah, it was just like, I don't want to be just another like guy who just publishes a bunch of other guy poets. And so that was like something that, whatever, evolution of me, I guess. Try and yeah. Anyway, yeah, here's Tom, and he was the first guy, New Jersey guy. And he's great, like great. Um, and uh, uh and people love his, because that cover, so they gets bought like at the Zine Fest like crazy. Anyway, it was like too many New Jersey guys. Anyway, there's Leah. She was really good. She's New York. Tom, I don't really know exactly where he lives. Uh, um, Clay, this is really great stuff. Clay is from Modesto. He's up in San Francisco now, right? But he's from Modesto, and these poems were all really Modesto centered. And I spent a night in Modesto once, you know, and I've driven through it a few times, whatever. But it just spoke to me as like a dumb punk rock kid doing too many drugs, living in a place that's way too hot in the summer, and with no dad or whatever, you know. And I'm just like, you know, white kid. Yep, yep. I understood that. Anyway, Jessica's in Maryland, Martin's in Hastings in England. Anyway, but you see, nowadays I do the half page zine, you know, with the poems, with the poetry. So some of them they make up, right? Martin came up with this. Clay came up with this, and some covers I make up. I made these up. I'm no graphic designer, but I do my best. This one here, for a little while, I did the risograph thing, you know, how that's going around and stuff. So when I was in San Diego, and there's the Burn All Books there in San Diego, and so I did some. This one's risograph too. So, but mostly what I do is I'm just Xerox. I mean, and nowadays, yeah, it's just all you know. I even more often than not nowadays I just print on my home computer and stuff. But yeah, you know, I sometimes I play around with other formats. I've made, where's these? Here, you know, I've made some photo zines. And so these are like, whoops, full color and all of that. I actually like, you know, went to a print shop. No, I did this photo zine. This was a trip in the Pyrenees, southern France and northern Spain, a summer hiking in the mountains and stuff. taking pictures. These are pictures that I took when I was from when I lived in Russia. And one of my times in Russia, and what my idea was is that I just had a camera, and it was like one of the first like digital cameras that you can just like hold, right? And I just like would walk around, and I wouldn't hold up the camera because I didn't want to freak out the Russians. So I just like would like hold it off to the side and just like take pictures like randomly without looking through it, and this one zine's called Moskva Devyushki, which in Russian means like young women of Russia, right? Or of Moscow. Like Moscow young women is basically what it is. And there's a bunch of male gaze anyway, but I wasn't actually looking through the camera. So, hey, anyway. But it's just pictures I took of just women. Anyway, this one right here is something that's my wife does lots of photos. She's a photographer. This is one that I did of hers of random things she's photographed in the street. This is of a trip that we did. This is mostly my wife. I got like 2 pictures in here, but it's a trip we did in Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, and in Finland, of just everybody who's down with Ukraine in those places, because if Ukraine falls, they're next, right? So they really love the Ukrainians over there. And these right here, this is the biggest thing I've ever made. And anyway, so this is fiction. This is my buddy Steve's fiction. So those I actually went to print shops and had like print shops like make them and stuff. So again, I mean, whatever. These right here, right? This is a budget press review. This is something I've done since the 90s. And this is like my litzine, okay, with art, photography, poetry, whatever, right? I don't even have copies of some of these anymore that I could find. This one's number 7. This is number 9. This is number 8. Anyway, this is the first or the most recent one. This is number 2. And, and look, and it has the stamp with that original address on it. So this is like, and this is something also you can tell that this is like OG flipping, budget press, is that what I used to do when I first started, I had a seal a meal, right? One of those, like, you put the plastic in and you would put your sandwich in and it would like seal it up, right? Not like it wouldn't suck out the air. It's not like vacuum seal. It was just like a really cheap, like, I guess, I don't know, man, something from the 70s before they invented sandwich bags or something. I don't freaking know. But I had one of those and I would seal every budget press, right? And this one's still wrapped up. I don't know if you can kind of see it there. So this one still has never been opened. So when when I finally make it in my 70s, man, this will be worth, $50. I don't know. These are kind of more like perzine type of things, right? That other people have done. Perzines, you know, kind of biographical nonfiction short pieces, kind of memoir-ish type of thing, so I guess they're perzines. You have this one here. So Hale right here, Joanna right there, my wife. You see, because I sucked her into this, because I had to suck her into this life. Anyway, here, this is our zine from our honeymoon, which was in a van driving up the coast in Western Australia. So, and this one, we both put together and wrote things. Her writing is the stuff that's legible. Anyway, so fiction, here's some fiction. Anyway, Here, hey, look, there's more here. This one I actually took to a print shop anyway. Um, and the poor print shop in San Diego, I just pissed them off so much because I had no idea what I was doing. You know, I learned how to do everything on like Publisher. Okay. And I know that there's like programs and all these things and all this insane stuff that you can do. But you know something, whatever, I can do what I can do. And I don't need to like learn all that stuff. Publisher is fine. I still have a Hotmail account. My website is Angel Fire. Okay. So my existence is still 1996, 1997, but it all works. It still works. Except when I went to the print shop and like you're using different types of photo files, and this is like this color scheme, and it's this. You guys just like, you know, like 3 or 4 times trying to like print it right, and I'm like, man, I can't feel it. Anyway, so just give me a Xerox machine. That was fun. It was something to do. I learned, but I didn't like it. All right. Now, as far as my own zines, I have a zine series. They're my own perzines, and they're called my Snow Globe Life. I collect snow globes. I've collected snow globes since my brother gave me one when I was like 8. And so, you know, snow globes became, oh, Dave collects snow globes, whatever. And now I have hundreds. You know, can't even have them all out. I mean, they're just in boxes. I mean, I just have hundreds and hundreds of them. And I decided to just start writing stories, you know, about like my snow globes and, you know, about the snow globe or about where I was when I bought the snow globe or just something tangential about the snow globe. Whatever. I started doing those. This is number 1. When did I start this? 2015, right? And this is just, you know, America, the US. I have one. Number 2 was Europe. Number 3, yeah, here's 3. Um, these are like lots of really short stories, right? Like flash, right? Nonfiction, memoirish, flash things, right? This one I did Utah. It's just one thing. I did Grid Zine Fest in Salt Lake City, and I did like a 2-week camping hiking trip in southern Utah before I went there. You know, Zion and Bryce Canyon and all those places, right? And along the way, I made the zine. And so that when I got to Salt Lake City, I printed it up and had it at the Zine Fest. And so this one is kind of unique in that aspect. And I almost surprise ending. I almost lost my eyesight anyway. But had to drive to Salt Lake City with only one eye. That was fun. Anyway, this one's number 5. I don't know what number 4 is. This one's number 5. So this is the most recent one. And again, there's no theme or anything like that. Here is South Africa, the Cape of Good Hope. And here is Denver and Hollywood and Argentina and just whatever. So those are kind of like my perzines that I do. And the next one is going to be just a one story that is I just whatever, man. It's all written. It's all been written. It's just I have to actually do it. And I've put it off for a long time, but it's I got married when I was 18. And so the story of that complete and utter, of course, disaster of a thing. So I wrote that. And so when I get the cojones to actually publish it or whatever, that'll be the next one. And that's, yeah, I yeah, when I ran away from home and I hitchhiked to Kansas City and lost my virginity and got married. So it's an interesting story, you know. Anyway, I'm sure the daughter that came out of it will be interested to hear. Anyway, um, this is another zine I made. Um, this is about my eating disorder that I had, and which I had in my 20s, and which was, yeah, whatever, connected to, of course, you know, my own my own insane stuff that was, of course, undiagnosed for most of my life, but also the massive drug use, and of course, the feeling of control over everything, and so on and so forth, that ended up with my intestines exploding and me almost dying. So that's what that story is about. So fun stuff. Anyway, now most recently, what I've focused the most on though is I've started doing these. And this is what I've been doing mostly lately. And these are actually taking lectures of mine. These are history, right? And they're quarter page size. And I can print them up at home on my computer. And so I don't need to go out and deal with anybody or anything else. It's the perfect life. You know, that's the thing. I teach in front of people. I go to Zine Fests. And as long as I'm behind that podium, as long as I'm behind the table, I'm great. But man, don't put me out in that room because I'm just going to freak out and I'm going to run and cry. So thank God for the Zine Fests because I can go function out in public. Thank God for that table because I can like have my space. Anyway, I'll just ramble on. This is my therapy session. Well, that's what the zine stuff is. This is all therapy, right? These are my lectures. These are taken from my lectures, right? Progressive era masculinity. This has sold more than any zine I've ever made outside of the last ones I'll talk about, right? Is this one right here, right? I know my Zine Fest audience. I knew it. But this is all, you know, Teddy Roosevelt and, and swinging his big stick. Hey, and whatnot. Clinton, the Mongols, U.S. imperialism also very, very popular. Birth of Islam, you got some Charlemagne. The first one I did, and if those of you guys know who I know Billy, right? Billy out there in Albuquerque, right? He has whatever, the zine king out there guy who, I mean, I don't know if you, maybe you know him, maybe you don't know him, maybe you've come across him, whatever. He did some stuff after when the war started in Ukraine, and it got me, I know my Russian history. And so he got me thinking about it, and I made this, and that got me started on was actually Billy. So shout out to Billy. But yeah, these I love, they really are. They're just like my lectures, though, whatever, for, fixed up a little bit. Here's my PowerPoint slides. Even, and, yeah. And so I started doing these. I've done 8 of them so far, and they're popular. And they move. Man, in Chicago last year, it was just like, I think in Chicago also, they hadn't had their Zine Fest for like 3 years, and everybody was just like, just ready to just go burst and go crazy. And so everybody was just like, whatever. So, the energy level was just so high, and I just sold like crazy. But
Oh, 2 quick questions related to those. Do you use zines with your students? And also, the other one is, do you ever use the zines for assignment/instruction in your teaching position?
I've never done that. I've never did the zine in class thing. no, I know that's out there. I know people who have done it, right? And so on. I haven't done that yet. I don't, that's my life, right? And I don't want the, yeah, I mean, I could have them do it. Oh, yeah, it's a good idea. I mean, like I can do this. I can take off Johnny B. Baker because I don't want them to know who Johnny B. Baker is. Okay. Yes, it's not my real name. Okay. I don't want them to know who that is. Right. And so, I take that off, but I could like give them these, and, you know, um, but the thing is that it would have to be because I live in DC, my classes are in San Diego, which means I'm online. And I do teach some classes here in the suburbs of DC, uh, but not very often because I'm pretty much an online guy. So if I was to do it like the actual zine thing, it would have to be like an online thing, and then you're just blogging basically, in a sense, I mean, also I would have to teach them how to make a zine, I guess, huh? And I just know how to make a zine on Publisher, man. And they're not going to have Publisher. They're not living in 1998. I mean, what the hell? Um, but yeah, I know I've thought about it. Now you're making me think about it again. And yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm sure that would just make me even more cool professor guy being like, oh, look, he's making us do zines and stuff, whatever. Yeah, whatever. We'll see. Anyway, good question. Anyway, all right. Now, the final zines that I'm going to do, I'll talk about are here in DC. I volunteer for an organization called DC Books to Prisons, and my wife has been on the board. I've been on the board. I'm not on the board now, but I do the volunteer training. I do whatever. I just do a lot of stuff, right? And what DC Books to Prisons does is we answer inmates' letters, and send them books, right? I mean, they write to us. You have some, John Grisham and Stephen King, and maybe a GED book. I mean, whatever. It's all, and we send it to them, right? And so I'm part of that organization, and we get uh, they send us poetry that they've written, and they send us art that they've written. And so, ding, 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 zine brain. I started, me and my wife started to put together zines with of at first it was both volunteer, written, we'd write stuff, and also it would be from, people from the incarcerated who have written to us, as well as kind of like program information. And we would have them like when the group, we would table at different events, or whatever, right? Surprise, surprise, at a lot of libraries. That punk rock library t-shirt. I know that guy, Carlos. That's anyway, great guy, Mount Pleasant Library, love him. We've done lots of stuff with them. But anyway, uh, and so that's what these are. This one right here, the third one we did, and this one is all prisoner work. Um, and I print them up, and I send them, I send copies to them. I always, they send it to me. I always write them back asking permission. Hey, do you mind? We can do this. I'll send you some, and we'll use this, to raise funds, for the organization. And of course, they're like, oh yeah, right, go ahead, right? And I don't edit them. I don't, turn anyone down. We have me and my wife, we help support prison book clubs, right? These 4 prison book clubs, right? And one of the librarians, of course, there that we work with, she just gave it to all of her people in the book group, and so we got a bunch of people from this prison in West Virginia. This is so what I've really been focusing on is this and the history things. And these, of course, at the Zine Fest or whatever, these really sell, right? And I don't keep the money for these, right? Well, these cost me like about $2 each to make, and so I'll take my $2, right? But the rest of it, and I sell them for 6, right? The rest of it goes, I just give it, to the org, whatever. So, because I have signed things that said you cannot, and I don't want people to think that I'm making money off of it, right? So I do give the money, back to the org and so on. So, and then I help spend the money. So, anyway, all right. So, I got 42 minutes, man. I can talk. That's the professor thing in me, man. I can talk. So what happened? My focus is gone. Anyway, I'm gonna stop. That's my life. There's my story. Okay, I'm
That's
done.
so nice. Thank you. We have a lot of questions for you. One
Okay.
is, have you met a lot of the creators you put out in person or not so much?
Why is this? Um, you know, not so much anymore. When I started, I knew everybody. Nowadays, yeah, I mean, not so much. The ones that I've met on Instagram and stuff like that, maybe they'll show up if I'm like at a zine fest in their neighborhood or something. Like that happened. Um, there are still the people, my friends. There's people I've published lots of times, and they're still like my old friends. And so there's still people I know, but I don't know anybody in the prisons. I haven't met any of them, but yeah, I'd say, in the last, 10 some odd years, it's more so people I don't know that I have not met face to face.
Okay, thank you. And you mentioned you started zine making in the mid 90s and that there were no zine fests at the time. What year did Zine Fest start? Do you remember when you?
I don't know why my camera is like being all blurry and stuff. Okay, now I probably just made it even worse. Okay. Uh, again, I don't know. I was gone. I left. I stopped. And when I came back, it was there. Um, I know I screwed up my video. I'm really sorry. Um, I'm kind of an idiot. The So sometime between like 2000 and 2006. Oh, boom. There I am here. Hey. Yeah, something like that. Right? Uh, but again, I don't remember them. And then when I started up again, and it was like San Diego. It's like I was at like the first San Diego Zine Fest and the second and the third and the fourth and the fifth and the sixth, I think. But whatever. And now I haven't been for a couple years. But I was like at the first one, right? The first Zine Fest I was ever at was in Riverside in the basement of the Life Arts building, the DIY Riverside DIY Print Fest, and it was put on by Angela, who I knew when I started Budget Press, and she was like a senior in high school, right? She was like a senior. And I was like in my mid 20s, whatever. And I was her introduction into zines, right? And Amy, she's a librarian. She's a librarian. Oh man, see, and I'm trying to pull people out, way out, But Angela and her, they were like best friends, and I think, and they're like SoCal zine people from the day. Ziba, you're saying you know who I'm talking about or something. But like their zine fest, and that was like the first one I'd been to, and that was like in 2006 or seven or something. But that was like, what are these zine fest things? I haven't been around for 5 years or whatever. What is this? Right. And that was, and then what, Portland was like on number 3 or 4. I mean, so it's like, yeah, sometime in that early 2000s, right? That's when it started.
And that relates to John's question, what was the zine community like in SoCal in the 90s when you said there were no zine fests? So was it just mixed up in the general arts community?
I just scrolled and now I see that there's all of these questions here on the thing. Anyway, I just scrolled down like, oh my gosh, there's all these. Um, something, it was, you know, I was in Riverside and my community was in Riverside. Okay. And there was me and there was a couple who did this zine called the River Bottom Monkey, which if you were a Gen X Riverside guy from downtown, or girl, you would completely go like, River Bottom Monkey, oh my God. Anyway, but there wasn't like a zine community, I mean, there was Drew Blood, but he had already passed. But I mean, there wasn't like, there was just the freaks. It was just all of us freaks, right? All of us like musician, artist, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But it wasn't like people making zines and stuff. I don't know, the zines, is when I went to San Francisco, but it was all through the mail for me. It was getting that that post office box, and it was putting stuff in other, sending it to Fact Sheet 5 and sending it to Exquisite Corpse and sending it to Raul Gaviota and sending it, and getting it reviewed in different things like that. So for me, outside of me publishing my friends and that community, I was the zinester. They weren't. I was, right? And when it grew, it was all through the mail. So it was people that were all. It was not for me. I was not a part of a Southern California zine community, right? It was more of a male thing, right? So and honestly, it was more poetry than I got yeah. So yeah, that's that.
Thank you. And you mentioned you and your wife make zines. Does your daughter make zines?
Something. Oh yeah, on my website there, she's my daughter. How do you know about my daughter? Oh, I guess I mentioned her at one point, did I? We did a podcast. And there's like on my website, that's one thing is that my daughter, she just got her doctorate. She lives in Germany and she just got her doctorate and she studied podcasting, uh, uh, intimacy in podcasting, and this anyway. And she wanted to make a podcast, actually do it, and so we did a podcast. And so it's on the site if you want to listen to the podcast. But she right now is working on a zine, but it's kind of like for her, it's art therapy, and she's doing it in a zine form. And whether it goes beyond, whether it is made public or not, that's a thing. we've talked about, right? So it's a possibility. But for her, you know, um, and I got to, oh man, well, whatever. I won't talk about the free shit she gets from the German friggin' for her friggin' head. It blows my mind. Anyway, she gets months of paid vacation, not vacation, paid time off to go see a psychiatrist. Yeah. So that's my question. That's my answer. She has not made a zine yet, but she's using it. She's using it, you know, to better herself. And if it is made public, it's who knows. So,
Oh, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I will go to the website and check that out.
yeah.
And so I think you mentioned briefly, do the writers slash artists have to sign any kind of contract?
No, no, no. Here we go. Right here. Artist, author retains all right to his work. No, are you kidding me? No, like, no. Ew. No, there's no contracts. There's no nothing. I don't own anything. People can just go do whatever they want. I mean, this is no. I give them a stack. Go, here you go. Um, I have paid people, like, you know, um, I don't know if you guys know, yeah, whatever, like this. I paid the artist for this cover, right? Uno Photo Art. If some of you, she's a zine person, or she has been, if you know her. But I paid her for it. So I have, paid some people for things. Uh, but anyway, no, there's no contracts, there's no nothing. There's just no, this is like to be as little stress as humanly possible in all forms, all things. So yeah.
Thank you. And Laureen made a comment that Canva may have replaced Publisher for
You know,
zine making.
I've used Canva. I've used Canva to make posts for the books to prisons, right? Because I do like the Instagram and whatever. So I've used Canva. I know what Canva is, and I'm sure it could be used. But I'll just I got what works for me. I'm happy. And so I'll just keep working on using that. But when I need to make a cover myself, I've tried. But Canva, just there's something about Canva that's just like generic to me, you know? And there's something just about a lot of graphic arts out there I see right now, especially with like books. It just all looks the same. It all looks so freaking generic. It just, I don't, and anyway, Canva, I just see as I don't know. But yeah, I know. I mean, yeah, yeah. Others, I mean, that's just me, I'm still punk rock guy. I mean, I don't know, whatever. Another thing I just want to mention real quick. I don't make any money off of this at all. Budget Press, there's a meaning behind the name, and that is I'm cheap as I can be. That all I care about is if I can flip and cover my shit. But am I doing that, paying for a zine fest, flying to Los Angeles? Okay, well, whatever. I'm see my mom. Hi, mom. See my friends. Whatever. I mean, I'm not just going out there for the zine fest, but you know what I'm saying. I'm not making any money off of this. These are $2, right? This is like $3. And so I just want to, that's just like the one thing that's kind of like important to me is like my goal, and especially as everything has gotten so friggin' expensive, and the zine fests are no friggin' exception. That here's $2, man, $2. And something, honestly, I swear to, I'll just give you one. Oh, I don't got $2. Oh, okay, you just take the free, just take it, whatever. Oh, I mean, at the LA Zine Fest, it was like Oh, what? Oh, you don't have Venmo? I no credit cards. Give me a break. But okay, Venmo, right? But oh, I don't have Venmo. I don't have the cash. It's like, okay, here, just take the free. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, anyway, I just wanted to say that I make things to my goal is like, accessibility and whatever, that I'm the guy that, and that's why like you see me at my table, I have my light box that says cheap zines here. I want to be the guy where it's like, man, all you got is $2. Here, learn about Charlemagne. I don't know, whatever. So yeah, read some poetry, whatever. So anyway, all right, I'm done with that.
And I'm glad I caught you on your way out of Zine Fest because that's how you are here today presenting at
Yeah,
Zine
yeah,
Club.
yeah,
So thank you.
yeah, yeah.
And any other questions? We have 4 minutes left. I have a question also. Do you know if you have zines in zine libraries around the nation? I'm guessing since you started in the mid 90s, maybe you do have a lot of zines in zine libraries.
I well, I guess I you took one of Steve's here, so in your library, I don't know if I have any others in your library. I don't know. Um, Zine libraries. Okay, well, if Mabel, was that Amy's name? Annie, but she went by Mabel. Anyway, she put me in at grad school. She did grad school at San Diego State, so I'm in the library at San Diego State. I know that. I am that Raul Gaviota guy. He donated his archives to UC Santa Barbara, his zine archives there. So I know I'm there. Um, I'm in Barnard. I sent some into Barnard once. Um, I got some stuff. I got something in the mail once from like Yale saying like your stuff has been cataloged. Okay. Um, so as far as like, libraries, those are the ones off the top of my head. Um, just zine libraries. I mean, yeah, Wasted Ink and and San Diego Zine Fest has all my zines and and I just gave a whole massive stack to you guys over there last weekend or whatever. So I mean, so yeah.
Well, thank you. Yeah, John says this has been an awesome talk, Johnny. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, John.
And Lorraine put an event coming up July 27th. If anyone's in the Echo Park area, there's a zine exchange and cool event. And it's about to be 5. It's 4:59, and I thank you for your presentation. I learned a lot about you and your name, Johnny B. Baker, which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
not your real name, but thank you so much for the
My
information.
name is David. Okay, I'll let you guys
Okay.
know. My name is David. I'm hiding from my students, not from you people. Okay, all right. So my name is David Reeves. How's it going? But Johnny B. Baker's yes, whatever. Don't tell any of my students though. Anyway.
Okay, we won't. And thank you everyone for your questions and for joining.
Okay.
Everyone,
Well, yeah. Bye bye. And thanks for having me.
thank
Thanks, Ziva.
you. Thank you. Bye. Have a good day.